Here we go. Another episode, the baddest podcast this side of the United States. How you doing from Blow the Whistle? I'm your host, D Brown.
Hey man, it's your co-host over here today, not your average therapist. You know, we're in the building, season 2, Blow the Whistle.
Blow the Whistle. We're
bringing some more fire.
Fire. Candid conversation for your body.
Interactive.
Yes. Yes.
Podcast. Sports, mental health.
Mind strong. Mental fitness.
And we definitely talking about fitness today.
Definitely talking about it. We have not only another great fire guest, we have the first female athlete. Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah.
We got the first female athlete on BTW.
Yeah.
So this is monumental. And she got jewels to drop. Phenomenal, awesome lady, bro.
Hey man, she's a coach, basketball coach. She's also a life coach, but also a certified mental performance coach. We're going to find out what that is.
Yeah. That makes sense. We need to dig into it.
We need to dig in. You always trying to get certification somewhere. But anyway, I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We listen to our audience. We listen to you guys. You want a female perspective? We got you one. Let's let me and Dame know we're gonna get what you're asking for. But she does have a great story, man.
Yeah.
Like you said, an entrepreneur, college basketball coach. She's a former athlete herself, a life coach, fitness coach. So, and she's focused on really empowering and helping women.
Yeah.
She has clients, across the scale, but her focus is to help women, in their journey. And I just think, man, that's awesome. It's awesome. So
I'm definitely looking forward to this conversation so she can shed some light on the feminine energy. Because we got 95% men coming in here with our masculinity, with our testosterone. Level that out. So again, like you said, we listen, we heard y'all, we bring them in. And she gonna set the stage, season 2, second female, first female. Oh. Hey, I'm ready. I'm ready when you are. Y'all ready?
Y'all ready?
We about to
She ready. Let's go.
It's interesting because you have the health aspect. And so when you say mental health, those two words together originally, like they just didn't make sense together. And until you go through something, then you don't really understand it. And I think that is so true. I think people can watch somebody else go through it. And until they personally go through something, I would say traumatic or something that is life-changing to where they understand, like, wait a second, this really has something to do with my health. And it's not just something that I need to get over. It's not just something that is going to go away. It's not just something that we can overlook. And like I said, until you have something personally, you can watch people all around you go through it all day long and you never understand it until you go through it yourself. And for me, that was something. I've had players, I've had other coaches around me. I've had people all around me my entire life that now looking back, you can look back and be like, oh, that's what that was.
Right.
And until I personally went through a lot of stuff and it just got heavy and it got super heavy and super draining and honestly depressing that I didn't realize exactly what anybody goes through until you go through it yourself.
All right. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. And again, I'm Dane, not your average therapist, Silver. So again, thank you for gracing us with your presence. My question was, and I guess this is to add on what Dee was talking about as far as just the mental health and the thought process and what you're currently doing now. I know you got numerous titles, from being a basketball coach to being a certified mental fitness
performance.
Coach?
Yeah, mental performance.
Mental performance coach. So for the people out there in the audience, including people over here, what specifically goes into that certification, and what made you kind of want to go that particular route?
Yeah, so this is really interesting. So I actually went into life coaching. I started finding out about life coaching because I separated from my ex-husband and I became kind of that single mom. We share custody, but I was on my own, and I had my mom, fortunately, helping me out with a lot of it. But I started needing to have kind of like more supplemental income. And I kind of was looking on social media, and I was in some mom groups, and I was in some different Arizona groups, and I'm kind of like, what's out there that you can make extra income with? And somebody was like, I'm a life coach. And I was like, a life coach? Like, they have coaches for your life? What is this? And so that's actually the first time I heard about life coaching. I had already been a college basketball coach at that point for over 5 years. And so I knew obviously what sports coaching was. Like, I've known that for my entire life, but life coaching just made no sense, but I was intrigued. So I went into life coaching that way. Well, while I was doing that, I started, as we are humans, we just get more and more curious about those kind of things. So as I was doing that, all of a sudden, my head coach actually had his name is Brian Kane, and he is a mental performance coach. And that's who I got certified through with mental performance. So at that time, my life coaching certification wasn't that schooling education wasn't going to be starting for a few months. So I was like just hungry for anything I could get my hands on. And I found this sports combination with what seemed like the life coaching was. And so I actually did that certification while I was waiting to become a certified life coach. So that's how I found those two. And they go hand in hand so well that it is unreal, because like now what I do with both of those is I actually help women to like make exercising like brushing their teeth. I help them to have that consistency and be able to make this a lifelong habit, something that we don't just start and then stop and start and stop and start and stop. And instead, what we do is we create the foundation and we lay those seeds and get those roots in, especially for women who are former athletes, because that is, again, something that I struggled with. And I know you guys could talk about the same thing, about how we do it for so long and we don't even realize that there's a difference between doing it for a team and for competition and for preparing for national tournaments and state tournaments and just championships versus working out just because like it's something that we know we need to do for our health. And so that's what I do now is I help women, especially former athletes who are women, get back to being able to work out without having to prepare for competition. And along with that, because of the life coaching, what it really is doing, the ultimate end result that they're going to end up seeing is that they get to love themselves and work out because they love themselves, because the mental side of things, everything that we do is mental. And it is all about cleaning up the way that we view the world, cleaning up the way that we view ourselves, cleaning up that mental health, like completely going in and scrubbing that mental health and getting kind of a clean bill of health.
In this day and age with a lot of gender bias, gender roles, we still live in a society, within a society that still puts our women at a lesser status. I know you're a coach of women. You are a life coach for women. The stigma that's associated with the struggle of a woman and the struggle of a man, or the struggle of a female athlete and the struggle of a male athlete. Is there really a difference?
Yeah. And the honest answer completely is I really don't think there's a difference. It's like I help women and that's what I do. I've actually had male clients and there is no difference. And I've had women who are athletes who've been athletes before, and I've had women who have never been an athlete, and even to the point of they don't even understand why exercising is so important. And so I've had it all, like all walks of life, everything. And if you have a human brain and you have a human body, it is all the same. It is all the same. And it is crazy because, like I said, I think that's what even got me is thinking that I was different because I've been in athletics since I was 5 years old. Like, I just have it in my blood, right? Like, it just is with me. And it's not. When I stopped playing basketball with a team, even though I was coaching college basketball, and I'm around like workouts all the time, I'm around the team workouts, I'm around the gym, I'm around like 24/7 around the equipment to be able to work out. I still was unable to work out, and I was still gaining close to 50 pounds 3 years after I finished college. So there's no difference. If you have a human brain and a human body, it is all the same, 100%. When it comes to women, men, athlete, former athlete, non-athlete, never touched a sport in your life, never been a part of any type of thing, it really doesn't make a difference. And I truly, personally, I really learned this the hard way, because I thought that because I had competed in athletics and been a part of athletics since I was 5 years old, that when I finished playing sports, that it would just be a part of my everyday routine, that it would just be a part of me, that it was part of my blood, that I was basically born with it. I've been doing it for so long. And it really wasn't. It wasn't at all. It was something that I had to learn the hard way. And it actually dawned on me that even more so, I almost was against me a little bit, because I'd worked out so long for something, that when I stopped and there was nothing to work out for, I was like, what am I doing that for? What's the point? So there's no difference. If you have a human body and a human brain, like, there's no difference in who you are, what you've done previously, what you have planned in the future. Like, we are all the same. And I think that's the hard thing for us to realize, because especially come with social media, we have access to see everybody's life. So we think we have access to see everybody's life, and we think that us compared to them, what they're showing us, that's not where I'm at. Wait a second, I should be further along, or I'm so far behind in things, and we start comparing ourselves, and it's just unreal, and it's not the realistic of what's going on in us, and maybe it's the realistic of what's going on in their lives, but we can't compare to what they are doing or what their calling is or what ours is. It's completely different.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you dropping those gems. Normally, season 1, we had our green whistles, like the logo, and we would just blow the whistle. We would interrupt you at any given moment and blow the whistle when you drop gems.
Yeah.
But this year, we're more redefined. We're growing, amongst ourselves. So we allow you to finish your thought, but guaranteed you've been dropping some whistle blowing moments.
Absolutely. That's what we call them. That's a whistle blowing moment.
Absolutely. But I definitely wanted to add on, or even to start the conversation in regards to athletes, right? And because it's a sports and mental health podcast, I wanted to talk to you about the difference. Do you see a difference in regards to just their ability to rebound, in a sense? Because all of us have played sports at whatever level, and athletes have a certain resiliency, right? You can lose a game, and then the next game you got to come back and play like you didn't lose that last one. So the mental fortitude that you have to have to be an effective and pretty good athlete is vital.
Yeah.
So to talk to us about how does that look to you as far as being a basketball coach, but also being a life coach at the same time, being able to implement some of those certain strategies that you identify with on the life coach side, and you kind of put it over there on the basketball coach side to kind of help your athletes be the best that they can be.
Yeah. And I think you make a really good point, because I think that's something as athletes, I don't think we were necessarily born with that, but we've had so much practice, and our brain is so efficient that even if we don't see it happening, our brain has had so much practice in just making it where we have a game and we have to just move on to the next. And not that we move on and forget what happened, but we are able to take the moment for what it is and learn from it and then move on. And so I think that's actually something where basketball has helped me with the life coaching, and it has helped me vice versa, but it has helped me with the life coaching and being able to say there are certain times that in life experiences happen, and maybe we have to treat them like games or like situations in a game where we can't sit there and break it down in the moment. We can't sit there because the game's moving on. Like the team, if we sat there and tried to break it down in the moment, the other team just got the ball and scored at the other end. So we have to stop and like move on and then come back and be able to not beat ourselves up from what happened, but be able to see like, okay, that happened. And I like to think of like what I work with what I work with my clients really doing is making things experiences. So not that anything is good or bad. And you've probably heard these in different ways of like circumstances, like the things that happen are just circumstances. The things that people say are just circumstances. The things that like say we didn't work out, that's just a circumstance. But I like to think of them even more so as just experiences. And experiences aren't good or bad. They're things that happened. And then we get to kind of pick them apart and make the experience what it is. And I think that's something that's helped me not only with life coaching, but with my players. And there is a difference. There's a difference. Like I teach and coach the college level. I think there's a difference between that maturity and the maturity of the clients that I have, because their maturity right now, they don't understand the importance of the mental health. They think they do, especially when they go through something, they have that mental health awareness, but they're not quite there with the, like, let's be like, what is the word? Proactive. Like, let's be proactive rather than reactive to when things happen, when I start feeling this way, whatever. I try to say, like, these are things that you can do every day to kind of stay on top of that mental health. But I think they're still learning. And I think that's something that I also, as a coach, have to understand that they have to go through that.
And just to piggyback off of, not really piggyback because you said a mouthful. That's a great question. Kendra, when you talk about what you do as a life coach for women, okay, I know some ladies, even in my own family, who will say, well, I don't know about working out, because they think, the worst about it. It doesn't take much. If I'm hearing you and knowing a little bit, it doesn't take much. You're not talking about being a damn Olympic lifter. You could be speaking of just a consistent walk. That helps your mentality. That helps the decompression process to start. What are some things, because I know all of your clients aren't just gung-ho, let's get it. Some of them I know you have to really try to motivate. What are some things that you share with them that our audience is going to hear and say, I didn't think about it that way. Maybe I can change my motivation so now I can get out and get that brisk walk or whatever it may be. How do can you share how you've handled those type of clients? Because those type of clients are listening right now.
Yeah. And it is. And one of the things is, and I like that you actually led into that with how I said that until you experience it yourself, you don't really know as far as mental health goes. And so what I would say, even with the consistency in working out, is it's the same thing, because you don't really know, and everybody's journey is completely different. And so when I work with those clients, which don't get me wrong, that's everybody. I don't have a single client that is like, oh, I want to go lift and I want to go do it, because if they did, they wouldn't be with me. And so one of the things that we talk about from the beginning is taking ownership. And as an athlete, it was so interesting, because that was something that my coach used to always tell me. You got to take ownership of this team. You got to take ownership of the team. This team is yours. Like when I was the captain, it was really a lot about taking ownership. And until I became a life coach and started doing this, I never understood it. I was always like, yeah, sure. Okay. Got it, coach. Got it. I'll take ownership. But until I became a life coach and started working with women the way that I work with them, I didn't realize that taking ownership meant making something work for you, not you work for it. So when we talk about exercise, it is making that exercise. Go ahead.
I ain't gonna blow the whistle, but I need you to really go and just come back about 5 seconds to repeat that one.
Yeah. So taking ownership, this is huge, like absolutely huge in everything. It is making something work for you, not you working for it. And so when we do that with exercise, when we can take ownership of our exercise, then, and we can learn and understand that exercise isn't this thing that we have to do.
Right.
It's actually this thing that we're making work for us. And that looks so many different ways for every different person. And then with that comes that exercise has its seasons, just like everything else. Like right now, I may do a mile run every single day, or I may do a mile walk every single day, but that may not be what I do in 2 weeks. That may not be what I do tomorrow. That may not be what I do in 3 years from now. Right now, for me, what exercise looks like, I have an app. And it has 3 different apps that are in this company of apps. And what I do is I do a bar workout, which is like ballerina stuff on my tiptoes. I do 6 minutes of that. I do a HIIT workout for 6 minutes, which I would have never imagined that I would only do 6 minutes of HIIT. So like a high intensity interval training for 6 minutes. And then I do 12 minutes of yoga. That's it. That's what I do every single day. For right now, that's the season I'm in. I've been in so many different seasons. I've ran like a few years back. I ran and I was running 2 miles every third Thursday, every blah, 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 and making some crazy routine. But that doesn't have to be what it is. Like I have to stop. And not only do I do this with exercise, but when my brain gets jumbled and I get overwhelmed with things, I have to go, wait, nuh-uh. I get to decide. I get to decide what this looks like for me. Like and we all get so caught up with that. And I think that is a lot of the mental health stuff. Is we get caught up in the way that we think things are supposed to look. And instead of doing that, saying, wait a second, I get to decide. Like I was thinking the other day we have Thanksgiving, then we have Black Friday, and then we have Cyber Monday, and then we have Thankful Tuesday or something like that, Giving Thanks Tuesday. And when I saw the Giving Thanks Tuesday, which is great, I think all of them are great, but when I saw the Giving Thanks Tuesday, what made me think of, because I think this is the first time I've ever seen it, I was like, it truly is up to us. Like we get to decide what we do. Somebody all of a sudden was like, hey, let's give Thanks Tuesday. And like, was just like, let's do it. Let's give back and whatever. Like we think that it's this thing that like the entire world has come up with and everybody, we just are supposed to know. Like, no, we get to decide what we do. We get to decide how things look. And with exercise, that's huge.
Well, great points. Man, I may not look like it, but I don't work out, right? So, and so you may be speaking to me a little bit as far as the motivational part, but I also want to talk to you about, because you do work specifically, or more so with women. How do you get the women that are not motivated? They want the results. They want the look, they want the legs, they want the hips, they want the curves, they want the diet, they want the benefits of working out, but not motivated due to whatever reason. It could be depression, it could be anxiety that's taking away that motivation, or they have that feeling of hopelessness in a sense to where you just don't want to get up. You're lethargic, whatever the case may be.
Distorted thoughts about themselves.
Yeah, it's about themselves, that body dysmorphia, all those things. How do you incorporate that with those types of women that you probably get more often than not, that are already struggling with their own body issues and also thought processes that they have? How do you incorporate your style of coaching into incorporate some type of motivation for them?
Yeah. So a lot of it is we kind of start with the self-love piece. And it's crazy because that actually is the hardest part for women that are in that space. But we start with the self-love and kind of loving the function of things. Being able to love your body. Maybe you don't love the look of it, but that's okay, because without it, what would we do? Like, we wouldn't be able to experience this life without the body that we have. And so being able to love the function of our body. And I go through maybe even, and this is something I do personally too, is I do what I call as a self-love sun. And every day I write things that I love about myself. And that's kind of how I start my day. And it's not like I love my smile necessarily. I love the function of me being able to think. I love the function of me being able to problem solve. I love the function of me being able to grab things. I love the function of me being able to walk on 2 feet. There are certain things that I start with function first. And then it's like, wait a second, if I didn't have this, yes. And all of a sudden I'm excited because I'm able to bend my elbow. I always talk to my players and I mess with them and I go, think about if your elbow was just straight and it was stuck and you couldn't do it. You wouldn't be catching the ball the way that you're catching the ball. Like, and those things, they're like, kind of like when they're down on themselves with like, man, if my arms were just a little bit skinnier, I'd be able to do this. If my legs were a little bit skinnier and not so overweight, then I'd be able to walk further. I'd be able to do this. Well, taking those same things and being like, but what do I love about those? What are their functions and what is it? And why do I have the legs that I have? And then being able to turn into, this is only an experience. When I said experience earlier too, it's like the reason I love experiences is because it makes it so just for a moment. It doesn't mean that it's permanent. Right. It's temporary. When we experience something, it just seems like it's something that is temporary. So your legs being the size that they are, yeah, they may be that for right now, but they don't have to be that ever. Like my legs being the size that they are now, maybe they'll get bigger. Maybe they'll get smaller. And so I get to experience them being the size that they are. And then I get to kind of get curious about them. What happened? What can I do with legs that are this size? What can I not do? And so it just becomes like almost a game and just an experience of loving the function in the way that it is. I had a client one time tell me that she doesn't necessarily like, and after some work, this wasn't right away, but after some work, she's like, well, I don't really want to be that weight. That's the weight that I got to experience when I was 23. I want to be able to experience the 40-year-old weight of this. And it's just a completely different experience. It's a completely different energy, the way that you approach things.
So what I hear you say is the outlook. It's the outlook. And if you change your outlook, inevitably you're going to change your belief system and your vision moving forward, where your vision could be more self-debilitating. Now it's when you change your outlook, it's more of a progression. Mm-hmm. It's more of a self-growth and a maturity level. That's what I hear when I hear you talk about, the transition mentally that you have to have. I hear you talk about different seasons. I love that piece when you talk about, there's different seasons to what we're doing. Oftentimes we find ourselves, we'll take what you say, a moment of something and we'll make it permanent. But have a permanent impact and effect. It doesn't really have to be that way. When I'm listening to you speak, it's like this is that timing period, but it doesn't have to be forever. You started out with, I think I calculated 24 minutes of like working out, 6 and 12, I think it was, compared to, I think you said months or years ago, it was 2-mile runs every other day, things of that nature. Nothing necessarily changed, but for you, your mentality was, that's just not what I need for the season. I'm not in that season. So I think it's very important for our audience to hear that piece about working in your season. You know what I mean? And understanding that there's going to be ebbs and flows. There's going to be highs and lows. But from listening to you and the things that I'm getting from it, I'm being selfish. Things I'm getting from it is that's okay. That's part of the process. But the consistency and the persistency is really what, from a life coach standpoint, really what we're preaching. Like, believe in what you believe in. Find some things that work, like you say, work for you, and continue to push at it. Not in the same way, because it can get monotonous and boredom, but to go at it in a different way, whether it's your physical fitness, mental fitness, those things are intertwined and combined. Mm-hmm. Those are two things that I'm hearing you say: persistency and consistency with my belief system, my vision.
Yeah. And I think with that comes because when people are first beginning, it's hard to just be like, change your outlook, because they're like, I mean, that's great and all. I've heard that forever. It's not easy to just change your outlook, but that is what it is. It truly is. But to get there, I think you have to really start small. And I think that's the same thing with the actual physical working out. You have to start small. And so with my clients, if we're like where we can't do anything, where we can't even move and we can't get out of bed, we can't do anything, it goes to that, what can you do? And if there's resistance, which there will be, if there's resistance, you're not going small enough. There's always something you can do. You just have to get small enough. And it may be like, put your legs over the side of the bed, sit up, stretch, just maybe like a morning stretch, not necessarily full out workout stretch. Right. Just stretch and be able to do that. Maybe it's take a couple steps. Maybe it's put some socks on, put some shoes on, grab the keys, make your way to the car. Maybe it's get a water bottle, get some ice in it. Like there are tiny steps that we take for granted because our brain is so efficient. And so if there's resistance, that means you're not going small enough. And that's how I truly see it, is if there's resistance, because all of us are like, well, I mean, yeah, I can put my feet out of the bed. I can do that. Okay. I can grab a pair of socks out of the drawer. I can do that. And then some people want to be like, well, will I put them on? And it's like, okay, but all I'm asking myself to do is grab them out of the drawer. Mm-hmm. And so there's things that we may be able to do. And maybe we do all of that the night before. Maybe we do all of it and put it by the bed. And so in our minds, it's kind of like, well, I still don't have to work out. It's just by the bed, but we're able to get there. And so being able to do things small. And then when we talk about mental fitness, just like physical fitness, like there are things that we do to maintain that physical fitness, right? The workouts that we do, the exercise, the movement that we do. And I like to actually make mental fitness in 2 words, like just like simply put, just in general, without going so deep into things, it's really question everything. Like if we question everything, we are really working that mental fitness, because we take things just for what they are. We take them for face value and truth most of the time. And if we actually, but is that really how it has to look? Or if I make this work for me, how does this look? Or I know that this can work. Now let's figure out how. And we start questioning everything. Then all of a sudden our brain's like, well, yeah, let's figure it out. Let's do this. Our brains are problem-solving brains. Like they are extremely, extremely good at what they do. So if we just say, I can't do that, then our brain's going to be like, yep, you're right. You can't do it. And it's going to not look for any solutions. But if we start questioning everything, like I can't do that. Wait a second. Why can't I do that? I was able to do all this. I've made it through life. I'm actually created to be able to do all this. Now, how does that look? So when we question everything, we're really working out that mental fitness. Like we're getting mentally fit when we question everything.
I've never heard it from that perspective.
Not I can't, but wait, why can't I? Why? It changes the whole motivation.
And what you said earlier, everything is connected. We often talk about that on this show, how, our thoughts lead to our emotions lead to our behavior. If you want to change the behavior, you got to go back and change the thought process. And you really hit it on the head. And like, I'm going to use that one. But I'm going to say Kendra Aaron is the one that...
We'll give you the credit.
Yeah, let me give you the credit.
Do whatever you want.
I'm going to definitely use that. What can you do, and not saying what can't you, but breaking it down in the smallest proportion.
Like you said, question everything. And the first word was why. Why can't I?
Yeah.
Why can't I do it? And instead of I can't,
right?
Why can't I? And
why can't I be that?
Why can't I be a king?
Yeah.
Why can't I have great mental strength?
Yeah.
Why can't I be happy irregardless of what somebody does to me?
Right.
I don't know.
I like it. I love it.
Love it. Kendra, you have come on and dropped some jewels, as many of our guests have. Obviously, we spoke about you being the first female in season 2 of Blow the Whistle. It was very important to get you here. A lot of times we don't know what our guests are gonna share. We know the platform is about mental health, but we don't know if they're gonna self-disclose, give statistics, give whatever input they want. You came on and really just proved a great point for us, and it was stated earlier that you're a basketball coach. We're former football players and athletes and all that, but when it comes to this game of mental health, we are all on the same championship team. We're all on the same championship team. So from our audience who asks, why do you guys always use sports figures? I'm going to tell you again, I use sports figures because I know people love sports. We were in a freaking pandemic, and the first thing that the world needed or wanted was a live basketball game.
Right.
So don't tell me sports don't matter. So that's the only reason, that's why I use athletes, but the content and your vision and your motivation for what you're doing is what really I want my audience to get. And when we close this segment off, get something from that. Like you said, it's the approach, it's the mentality, it's understanding the season that you're in, I mean, I'm going to go back and watch this again because you motivated me and thinking and I'm serious, just how I work out. Because, you were saying it and I was like, man, was she watching me doing that? Because that's what I would do. I would feel like I have to do this, I got to do that. And it's like, no, I don't play ball anymore. It's a whole different approach. It's a whole different, I guess, set of rules, if you will, as far as how I'm going to engage in my mental health, because now I'm not trying to score touchdowns. I'm not trying to get a contract. I just want to feel good, look good. And when I go to the doctor, he say all good. I mean, that's that's right. But in doing that, in the exercise, in the journaling or the music therapy or lifting weights like you do, that's as much as you can do that, I can guarantee your mental clarity will be so much better. I know for me it is. So when you sharing that stuff, I'm like, oh man, this is awesome. So thank you so much for coming on again. Can't say thanks enough. We appreciate your candid conversation, your transparency, your self-disclose. You just, there was no surprise, but we're very thankful for your time. Thank you so much. What do you have going on? We know you're an entrepreneur, so speak on that, on your company again. But also put out your handles. How can our audience keep up with you? I keep up with you. Dame keeps up with you. But how do we keep up with you? What are your handles? What do you have going on? How, what endeavors can we support?
Yeah, my biggest thing that I have going on is my podcast, which is the Daily Woman Podcast. And that is Woman is for Workout Mentality Achievement Network. And so I have that Daily Woman, and I come on every single day. It's been about 6 months now that every single day I try to get you everyone who listens, just a small little mental workout mentality nutrient, just something small that we can kind of apply. And I'm the same way. I listen to my own podcast because there's so many different things and different ways we can apply it. So that is the biggest thing I have. I have my website that's coachkendra.com. My Instagram is coachkendra_woman. And those are basically the biggest things that I do. And you can find out through all of those how you can work with me if you need to or want to. But mostly right now it's December and I am doing actually 31 reasons why I can't work out today. And so that is my podcast right now that's happening every day in December. And I actually threw it out to a friend and was kind of like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. And they were like, yes, do it. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm doing it. So right now, 31 reasons why I can't work out today. And we're kind of addressing those reasons this month. So that's basically it. I appreciate all of the support. And I thank you so much for allowing me to be on your podcast. It has been such an honor, such an amazing conversation that we've had. And I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, we definitely could have took it a little bit deeper and longer, but we're not going to hold you. We'll hold it because you're a busy woman, but we're going to bring you back, though.
Yeah, we'll bring you back season 3. Okay. Good princess.
So she's getting impatient, which I am running late, but it's okay now.
If you want any guy to be soft, all you got to do is show us a little girl.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. We melt.
All
yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I know you're busy. I know you got, to get your person somewhere. Many blessings to you. Thank you for what you're doing. Yes. For everyone, not just women, but definitely for your heart, your support, your vision. I encourage you and implore you to keep going, keep pushing, keep pounding. If we can do anything to support you, say no more. We're there. We appreciate everything you've done.
Likewise. Thank you so much. And if you guys need anything, let me know. I think this is such an awesome platform. It's been such an awesome platform.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Man.
Yeah.
First Woman season 2. Hey, I ain't mad at that one.
No. You know what I liked about that one the most? Well, I liked a lot, so I can't say the most.
Yeah.
Is that she was just sharing, her experiences and things she does.
Yeah.
She doesn't know that she was actually giving like coping skills, I guess. I guess you could say that. Yeah. Like she says, obviously she says like she'd exercise.
Mm-hmm.
I think she talked about an app or meditation app.
Yeah.
And then one of the things she said was I may try this. She was like, I write down each morning. I write down a few things that I love about myself.
Yeah. And it don't have to be eyes.
Do you know some people can try that tomorrow morning, bro, and struggle.
Yes, absolutely.
So that was.
So take what Coach just said and pretty much start small. Start small. Start with what you can see. What are you thankful for? What are you grateful for? What do you love about? It could be your kneecap. At least you got a kneecap. Some people don't got kneecaps. At least you got all your toes. Some people amputees. So it's small things, but because we're conditioned to think on a larger scale all the time, we miss the small blessings that we're gifted with on a daily basis.
You don't realize how much you need your pinky toe until you don't have it no more.
Man, get that pinky toe in the corner.
Yeah.
See if it ain't debilitating for a couple hours.
Right. Just go wrap it up. There ain't nothing that got to be wrong with it. Just go wrap it up and see how weird that feels.
Or your thumb.
You know? Right. So when she's talking about how intertwined your physical and mental health is, you know, it is true. You know, I believe that.
Yeah.
You know, I do believe I'm happy for that. You know, a lot of people that I run into though, just the fitness piece is not for them.
Right.
But I'll tell you this, you know, go to your doctor. Go to your doctor and see if you need to be on some sort of fitness plan. It don't have to be deadlifts, Olympic stuff.
Right.
Get your butt up if you can. Because I know some people out there, some of my friends who just physically have you know, disabilities that you know, can't do it. I'm not speaking to them. We don't keep you in prayer and allow, you know, the professionals that the Most High has put in front of you to guide you to your. But I'm talking about the ones who don't have any excuses. It's just in your mind. I don't want to do it. I can't do it. I don't like doing it.
Yeah.
Go to your doctor.
You let me know every time.
He'll let you know where you're at. And we can change that and inadvertently change our mental as well. I kid you not, bro. When I get done, whatever I try to do,
right.
When I'm done with it, man, my mind, even though my body still hurts, it still hurt. My body still hurt.
Yeah.
My mind is clear though.
Yes.
Like I tried working it, I tried pushing, I tried motivating, and my mind is more clear. Even if my body is hurting, my mind is good.
Absolutely.
To the point that I can focus on recovery.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Rehab or whatnot. So man, it's just, you know, she dropped some jewels, and I hope that, you know, all viewers got something from it.
Yeah.
But definitely the women on watching the show, because she really spoke to what the approach can be. Irregardless if you're a basketball player, basketball coach, she didn't regulate it to just that.
But look at it. She even brought her daughter on, right? To show that there's a healthy balance.
Yeah.
It's all about balance. You can be the working woman.
Yeah.
You can work it out. But you also, Mom, you have so many titles. Yeah. You know, so being able to find that good balance and, you know, like Dee said, just being persistent and consistent, you know, in what your goals are. You know, everybody don't want to be, you know, 120 pounds for a woman. But, you know, I don't even know what their goal is in a sense. But everybody doesn't want to be that size 0 or that model figure. We're not talking about that. We're talking about connecting this mind with this physical. That's what the focus is.
Get fit, get fine.
Ooh, man, coming out of the gym, I don't know how y'all be looking coming out of the gym with them doggone yoga pants.
Oh, they got new pants out.
Oh, the one that you can pull all the way up and it's just
make everybody look no.
Yeah, we're gonna stop the conversation.
We getting away. Yeah.
We can't do that.
But we'll have another segment on finessing. We'll have another set on finessing. Not finessing us with, you know, but we'll talk about that. Yeah. Hey, BTW, 2 Black dope therapists coming at you again. Check us out every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Go to all of your platforms, subscribe to us, like us, Tell your friends about us. Don't just compliment us. We love it. We appreciate the support. But the biggest thing is, if you don't ever tell us thank you, if you don't ever say great job, that's fine. As long as you are telling your brother, your sister, your coworker, your cousin, your neighbor, hey, check them out. When somebody comes to you and says, hey, my brother or my son or whoever, my friend is having some issues and this is the issues, and they're just not in the right headspace, you hear it all the time. Shoot them over to our podcast. There's some content, it's a jewel in there that'll be dropped that they'll benefit from.
Like our guy Corey Meyer always say, you don't need to listen to all of the podcasts. You just need one little nugget.
Just a little bit.
Just a little nugget to get you where you need to go.
Yeah.
That's what we here for, man. You don't know what that nugget is.
Yeah. I get something from it every week. Appreciate you guys. Dane, not your average therapist. Dee, the dopest therapist. Brown, here we are. Black Unicorns. We'll see you next week.